Good afternoon, everyone. This is Sandra from Gulf America. So happy to have you on with us. Very happy today with our guest. It's Dr. Christina Thorpe. She is CEO of Stronger Tomorrow, and she really focuses on wellness, on activities that women should have in developing pretty much not only sports, but the mental wellness that we should all be carrying along with us, right? This month, being Women's Golf Day month, we want to focus the entire month to topics that will be interest for women, female golfers. It's a way of developing stamina for the game. It's the being able to stand up and play 18 holes of golf well and being able to focus, but also to enjoy the company of all of those that we're playing with, the new people that we are able to meet while we're playing golf, and develop friendship, camaraderie, and more contacts as we move forward with the game. I believe I do have Dr. Thorpe with us. Yes, you are. I can hear you.
I can hear you. I was trying to get on through my computer, but it didn't let me do it that way. So I figured let me do it through the phone. How are you?
Wonderful. Well, welcome to Golf America's Instagram Live. It's a monthly show that we have. And as I was telling the public, this month we really want to focus on female golfers. We already hosted last week was the Women's Golf Day. I was in DuPage County in Illinois.
Mhm.
The Cantini Golf Course was very generous in opening up their doors to 70 ladies. Almost 38 of them were new golfers. They were taking
Yeah.
lessons. They took the clinic part, and we were able to have 8 foursomes teeing off, and we're able to play 9 holes. Great weather. Cantini treated us very well, and DuPage really showcased a beautiful town. So tell us about Stronger Tomorrow. Let's start with that. Let's see what we learn from that part.
Stronger Tomorrow. This has been my baby for a little while. The component that relates to golf actually started about 5 years ago. I picked up golf 5 years ago during the pandemic.
Okay.
And so I consider myself one of those pandemic golfers that,
Yes.
golfers who've been around say, oh, you're one of those people. But you know what? Quite honestly, it was such a cathartic, wonderful experience. I never thought prior to then that I would actually play golf the way I enjoy doing it now. And
Yeah.
it came about just needing to get out the house. It was at a time when, at the time, I was working in higher education, and one of my department heads died as a result of COVID.
Oof.
And, when you have that kind of pressure and a team that's looking to you for guidance, you need an outlet for yourself. And I do yoga, I walk, I do all the things, but I needed something that would just turn my mind off for a bit and just give me a little reprieve because I was thinking about all the next steps I needed to do for my team. So one day I was out walking with my husband and somebody complimented him on his Titleist cap. And I looked up and I said, I'm ready. And he says, for what? I said, I'm ready to go and learn to play golf. And that weekend, he took me to the driving range. And there was something about holding the club and just holding my head down and just being in the moment. It was the first time in months that I actually felt that moment of zen. I felt relaxed. I could hear the birds. I could feel the breeze. It was
Yeah.
just amazing. And I fell in love. And
Yes.
after that, I was hooked. I couldn't stop. And I would post myself on social media playing or at least practicing at the time. And other women said, oh, I want to join you. I've never done this before. So it was an opportunity to kind of blaze a trail in
Yeah.
my area and just be that face and just break the ice for that experience. And
Sure.
gradually over the years, more and more women came on and would do it. Fast forward to the summer of 23, August of 23, I made the decision that I needed to practice what I preached. I was stressed. I needed to do something that would honor me as someone in the health and wellness space and as a woman in leadership who understood what it was like to be left out in spaces where mostly men were in. And I thought, you know what? I want to create an environment that would allow me to, one, actively be the health educator and wellness professional that I am, and engage women in leadership, women in professional roles, in being able to connect and network through golf. And
Yes.
that's how Stronger Tomorrow has been mushrooming since these last couple of years to where we are today.
Yes. There's something to be said about how you need to focus on the golf course that disconnects you from everything that's outside of it and really makes you appreciate nature, listen to the birds, like you said, and always trying to improve yourself. It means you're really out there with yourself and you're trying to see, okay, how can I make today better than yesterday? And forget my problems, forget whatever you have pending outside those gates,
Yeah.
and move forward and come back very satisfied with what you have accomplished. Um, it starts with hitting one ball, then it
Mm-hmm.
starts with hitting a different club, then it starts with getting yourself out of trouble. So it's continuous growth. It's you're always learning.
Always learning. And you're competing with yourself from the day before, looking to improve going forward. So it's a great experience.
Correct. Now, being someone who's recently been involved with golf, how did that empower you? Where does that word come in? At what moment do you say, "Oh, this is really what we all need to climb the ladder or satisfaction,
Mm-hmm.
accomplishment"? When does that moment kick in?
Oh my gosh. There was something about golf that, one, was humbling, but also two, enabled me to stretch outside of my comfort zone. And I love introducing golf, particularly to professional women who are buttoned up and know their game at work, and say, let's come into a space where you can take care of yourself, but also stretch yourself a little bit outside of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that important? And as someone with a health background, there are multiple dimensions of wellness. I call it a mega wellness activity because even in your mind, expanding and learning something new, the neuroplasticity that happens, it enables you to go back into your workplace or to your business and think creatively outside the box because you're learning something new. You're in an open air environment with, for us, other professional women, and you're sharpening, forgive the pun, sharpening iron mentally as well as professionally
Sure.
with women as well as the sport to be able to do something a little different and be a little bit more creative. And I think we are challenged at this time with creativity because we're so prescriptive in so many ways because people are trying to play it safe. But I think when you have the opportunity to step outside of your comfort zone and do something different, it allows you to see the possibilities far beyond what you would have seen in any other setting.
Mm-hmm. So, as health educator and a coach, what practices have you gone through and that you suggest to new golfers wanting to pick up the game but still keep up those practices that you had before? The walking, the hydrating, the relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
What else can golf, or what practices within the golf course do you recommend?
I've been working with a woman who has created a meditation app, and I can always share that later in the chat. But I recommend the visualization and the meditation, preparing your mind before you get out on the golf course. And we've worked through some of these exercises together, and she's guided me through, and we've talked about how you begin by closing your eyes and envisioning yourself on the tee box, envisioning where the flag is, envisioning yourself positioned, just so with your golf club in hand and the ball is teed up, and envisioning the ball going in a direction where you'd like for it to go to get toward the target,
Hmm.
and feeling the environment and being one with the experience versus going in and thinking, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to do badly. Oh my gosh, everyone's looking. It's, yeah, because,
I'm not.
let's
I'm
be
not.
real
I'm not going
here.
to make it. I'm not
Oh
going to
my
make
gosh, it's
it.
going to be bad.
I
Because
bet. I
once
better
you,
get a practice ball out because I'm not going to.
and once you start thinking that way, the other way, you're already psyching yourself out of the situation versus preparing yourself to be calm, centered, and balanced and ready to be able to embrace. the journey of going through each hole. And
Hmm.
it's not to set you up to be perfect. And it's, like I said, humbling. It's to remind you that you're on a journey. And I believe there's so many beautiful life lessons that happen while playing golf, and how much you learn about yourself and how much you learn about each other. So that's how I recommend prepping. It's centering your mind, putting out all the anxiety and negative thoughts, because they're in everywhere we go. But if we can get on the golf course and just own that moment and appreciate it for the beauty of what it is, I think we can get more out of it and get out of our heads about worrying about how we look and being embarrassed because we're not perfect. And unless we're pro players, none of us are perfect. And we should go out there to really have a good time and be a great person to others who you're playing with in your foursome.
Yes, that's a topic of conversation that I had with somebody. People are used to watching professionals on the TV, and they think that when they go out to practice or to learn the game, they're going to do it the same as Scotty or Rory or Tiger. And they get there, and boy, it's another story. So
It's far from it.
far from it. So what you are suggesting is wonderful. I think it's great, and definitely that visualization on shots and how you prepare yourself. The whole process of aligning to the ball and then addressing the ball is is part of your connection with where you're going to between this club and the ball.
Hmm.
But it's also an intimidating game when you first arrive onto the golf course
Yes.
and you see the field and you see the ball compared to the club, and then you take in consideration the breeze, the grass, the up, the down, the the turns, whether you can see the hole or you can't. Um, how do you grow these habits as you're growing in the game?
One, it takes practice. And two, I like to take people through a frame of reference. Think about the first time you started on a new job. You went to a new place of employment, you didn't know anyone, and based on your resume and your interview, you got this job, they seem to like you, now you need to prove yourself. And every day is an additional step moving forward to making your first quarter goal, your next quarter goal, getting to your first year, and then over and over. And it takes practice and going through the motions till you become a little bit more familiar and comfortable with that environment. And even
Hmm.
with that, there are curveballs that'll come through your day, and you're thinking, okay, what tools do I have to be able to grow with this experience? And what will
Hmm.
I learn from this experience if it doesn't go exactly my way? And when playing golf, it's constantly learning something new and
Hmm.
then picking up habits along the way, or lessons, I should say, along the way of how you play, and what you pick up in terms of what's around you in order to, become more proficient at it. Look, when I've met people who are 80s and 90s playing golf, and I look at them and I'm thinking, man, when I grow up, I'm like, whoa, this is pretty awesome. But when I grow up, but it's a journey, and we also are in this quick fix, got to get it yesterday, society. And this is one of those moments that forces you to slow down and recognize that
Yeah,
slow and steady wins the race. Quick,
yeah,
fast, and hurry will get you nowhere.
right. There's a lot to think about also, especially when you're new to the game. You're learning how to stand, how to grip,
Yeah.
how to take the club back, how to leave your head down, how to follow through, look at the ball. Um, you probably also have to put that in perspective, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even now that I have been playing golf for a number of years, I try not to overwhelm my brain in the golf course and say, okay, well, today I know I am failing in the speed of my swing. I need to slow down. So just think of slowing down in rhythm and just focus on one or two things
Mm-hmm.
every time you go out there so you can also enjoy it. I mean, the whole
Right.
idea is to be surrounded by nature.
It is. And give yourself grace during the journey.
Hmm.
You're surrounded by nature, so that's the environmental wellness. You're there to actually relax yourself a bit, so that's the emotional wellness. You're doing a lot of walking, that's the physical wellness.
Hmm.
There are so many components, and for some, there's even spiritual wellness. The meditative conversations that you have when you go through the motions and you're standing there. You take a deep breath, you exhale, you say to yourself, I've got this. You say to yourself, I'm in the moment. And, there's so many wonderful experiences to come from it, in addition to learning along the way. And you'll tweak. Listen, we should all be taking lessons all the time, regardless of how many
Correct.
years you've been playing. And even the pros take lessons. I think when we remember that, that you'll not be perfect at it, because you'll have to continuously practice. It's a growth, it's a journey, and it's life.
True. Now, how do we apply this experience that we're getting in the golf course to our 9 to 5 life?
Oh my gosh, we can apply it, by looking at the fact that, and I think this is important in the workplace, often, particularly if you're in the corporate sector. The
Mm-hmm.
biggest fear is messing up, because you know that there's a very small margin of error if there's a mistake. And I think when we create environments, particularly with the women leaders that I work with, when you create environments for people to be to some degree creative and experimental, to grow and learn, and then what are we learning from the things that don't go exactly right versus it's a punishment for doing it wrong. And I think that we need to get to a point where we can begin to grapple with creativity and new ideas. And I think that that's something that, for the women that I like to work with, I like for them to think about, how do you bring that level of creativity to the workplace for people, your subordinates, people who report to you, to do so without feeling like they're going to be judged poorly for thinking a little further outside of the box because you want a new idea, but they're afraid to do it. Let's create a safer environment for them to be creative and learn and grow, because you make better professionals that way, who come up with new ideas that can improve the bottom line ultimately.
Sure. A shank can happen anytime, so you might as well be open-minded about, all options that you may have in any project.
Exactly. 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 Yeah.
How else how else what can we practice outside of the golf course in the wellness part of it and the mental part that would help us the moment we're teeing off?
Outside of the wellness parts that we can practice outside, and there are many.
Hmm.
when so one of the things that we like to do what we call matchmaking on the golf course. And for
Hmm.
us, that's considered, occupational wellness, because you're connecting with other professionals
Hmm.
and intentionally doing so on the golf course. And the way we prep women is by saying, these are the women you're going to be playing with in your foursome. Here's some background information. Come prepared to have that conversation. Come prepared to get to know each other. And ultimately, hopefully, you'll build a rapport where you can maybe exchange business, where there's an opportunity where you have a shared client interest that you can work together to support a client's needs. And for us, that's a wellness preparation for your business, for your finances, in terms of those who are business owners as well, who want
Sure.
to foster more business. But preparing, and I lean, of course, specifically to women, because that's who we really do cater to in Charlotte and Morrow. It's understanding what it means to network, what it means to network on the golf course, what that looks like for us as women, and doing it in a way that's comfortable and meaningful for us, so that we get the benefit of the relationships that we foster, the way we make connections with each other.
Sure. Do you find that that has been the hardest part to get involved? I mean, never mind how do you hold the club and stay down and follow through, but these are social habits, and we are brought up differently in different
Mm-hmm.
environments. So once we get to the golf course, um, how do we learn that flexibility and how to adapt to the social graces of the game of golf?
Wow. Some of that stuff I actually talk about, and I'll do like a workshop and do an education on it through the boot camps that we run, and being able to talk through what is networking, golf, and wellness. How do those interplay? And being
Hmm.
able to have that bit of a prep in how you move through, let's say, a 9-hole scramble. What does that look like? And how do you do that with ease and grace so it doesn't feel disjointed and forced? translating what one would do at a cocktail party with a drink in hand, take the drink out of your hand and put the golf club in your hand
Yes,
and see
yeah.
what that's like. You may have a drink afterward, that's on you, but for the 19th hole, people, but you may during the course of play, what does that look like to banter back and forth and build a rapport? How are you doing? How's the family? Yeah, I just got married. Or, this one group we just recently had, a woman's getting married, another one has a 2-year old, and they're about to celebrate their 2-year old's birthday. Another one, she's excited. She has a son who she adopted, and they're about to do some fun things together for baseball. And they're talking and getting to know each other. But they've also exchanged business because the CPA needed the financial advisor's resources,
Okay.
and the attorney needed some of the CPA's resources, and they just went back and forth.
Yeah.
So working on creating a natural experience so that it's actually fun, and you don't realize that you're of course playing, but you've created also a safe environment for each other to do
Mm-hmm.
so.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know people from the outside looking into the game of golf, the comments have always been um, how full of rules the game of golf
Hmm.
is. But I feel, being a golfer most of my life, is that it helps to break that ice, because you know what's the respectful way of addressing. You know not to speak while somebody's going to hit. You know
Right.
not to step on somebody's line while they're on
Yes.
the green. You help in looking for a ball that was lost.
Hmm. Hmm.
So these are certain etiquettes that begin from other rules, but you start applying your own version or your
Right.
part, your empathy, once you're out on the course and you start getting along with a person. That person is no longer a golfer that you just met, but is
Hmm.
your golf acquaintance that
Hmm.
you don't want to bother them and you want to challenge them, and you're playing against yourself. You're not playing against them. So don't
Exactly.
apply rules that you think you're hurting the other person, because you're only going to be hurting yourself.
Exactly. The other part too that I try to remind people is that you learn a lot about yourself and about each other in terms of each other's integrity, your
True.
character, your honesty. Do I want to do business with someone who, and I always say the joke, when no one's looking to kick the ball and they say, we got the ball and yeah, whatever, or somebody who has a really bad tantrum and gets
Or
really aggressive and
threw it out of the
verbally
sand.
abusive, just having that all out tantrum because they didn't get the ball the way they wanted. It's a little scary personality. Do I really want to engage with someone like that? You show up a particular way,
Yeah.
and in addition to all of the graces and etiquette that still need to be learned, and then teaching each other that, because we usually have like a mixed group where someone has a stronger skill set than others. Some are great at the putting
Yes.
part, so they'll scramble. Somebody's great at putting, they'll do putting. Somebody who's great at the tee box, they'll tee off. And somebody's great at the short game. Everybody plays a role and they team up, but how you do it and support each other and learn, and being able to educate, like what somebody was the last group I was around. What club do I use for this? Try your pitching wedge. I think your pitching wedge would be good here. Okay. Oh
Hmm.
wow, look at that. It worked.
Yeah.
It's that kind of camaraderie that's built, and it becomes a safe space where they want to play with each other. And then when you invite others in for both business and for wellness and for pleasure, they understand that there is a tone that's already preset that they can fall into.
Yeah. And I suppose the best tip we can do is everybody should leave their ego in the car while they're parking it, and just walk out with a little bit of humbleness, and just be open to what you're going to learn and who you're going to meet.
Agreed. I tell them, you're not here to prove that you're the best attorney, that you're the best accountant, that you're the
Correct.
best anything. We know you're that. That's why we invited you here. Now, are you a great person? Are you somebody we should get to know as a person? And if you can't show up as a person and you must only show up as your title and your credentials, then it's not necessarily a whole lot of fun to be around you, because
Yeah.
we want to, I mean, there's more to you than that. So, like you said, check the ego in the car and come out to play. And I think that's also something that vulnerability that I find that, when you're buttoned up all day, to come out and be vulnerable on the
Oh
golf
yeah,
course
loosen up.
is that's why I said the meditation. You've got to get yourself in a mindset to be ready to play, because if you come in and you're that same persona that you were in the office, it's a bit difficult for people to connect with you, because you are putting up a wall and a front, and you may not play as well as you're presenting, and it may not bode well for you.
True. True. What other tips do you have? I mean, I think I've asked a lot of questions, and you really got it. I hope I didn't take your punchline out of the whole
Oh
conversation. But what other
no.
tips do you have?
Oh my gosh, other tips that I have. Go out and play as often as you can. Practice makes you better. Um, if you do one boot camp and you don't go out again until the next year, you're not going to be great at it. You're going to have to start from scratch all over again. Be
Yeah,
consistent. Um, find friends to play with, but also find people who you want to practice engaging a little bit more,
sure. That challenge
professionally
you.
with, that
Yes, that
challenge you
challenge
on a
you.
number of different levels. I think that's
Yes.
important as well. And don't let the winter months get in the way. For those of us in the Northeast,
Hmm.
we envy those of you down in the Southwest and, Southeast when you have
Let me
warm
tell you,
weather.
it can get so hot in July and August that you just don't want to even step outside. But like
Well, and that,
we,
but what's
we have
hot
the
for
same, but
you
in reverse.
in reverse. So what I always recommend, we have a number of great indoor golf facilities. Utilize them.
True.
Yeah, it's not exactly the same as being outdoors, but why keep your skills hidden and you're not practicing during the winter months and waiting until April when you could be practicing from November to March indoors, and it still gives you the motion and the mechanics that you go through. Take a few lessons while you're at it, but still be able to get a group of four or so together, and you
Sure.
meet up at an indoor facility and you still take that time to play a game through on a screen. Yes, it's simulation, but it's better than not doing anything and then having to brush up on a rusty skill and thinking that,
Right.
oh, wow, I'll be ready for the corporate outing next week. No, you really won't be. I
Well, I
hate
think
to break it to you.
we use in golf muscles that are not necessarily used throughout the day. Actually, sitting
Mm-hmm.
down in an office is bad for golf because your hips get tight, your back gets
Yes.
tight. So I think that's
Yeah.
a great idea to at least be loosening up that
Mm-hmm.
movement, that we want your body to get used to it and be able to have the strength to last throughout the 18 holes doing that back turn and that follow through without aches and pains.
I work with a great physical therapist who focuses on golf players, Janice Thornton, and she had some great videos through the winter that I would do like over a period of weeks and just practices to keep your body in motion.
Yeah.
And I thought, wait a minute, this is really good. And
Hmm.
still have them. I can always run them again. But I do agree, it's important to keep your body motion a certain way because you will stiffen up. You won't have that muscle memory. You think, oh, I've got it. And I've worked with pro instructors who said, oh, I've been out of practice. And you're looking at them and you're thinking, you look great. They're like, no, I know my range. And I just felt like I short my, they'll explain why they could feel the difference in their body because they hadn't been practicing,
Sure.
even though to
Sure.
those of us who are full amateurs can't tell, but they
Right.
know, and that to them is a signal that they need to do a little bit more work for
Right.
themselves.
Let's talk a little bit about travel.
Sure.
Golf America also encourages traveling. In particular, we focus into the Caribbean, Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
and Latin America because it serves as an experience in addition to playing a different kind of a golf course and playing it, in a different challenge. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what do you, in your perspective, what kind of trips would ladies really enjoy when they leave to play with friends?
Oh my goodness,
Because I
that's
suppose you want a little bit of everything. You don't, the guys like to go and their pattern is wake up early in the morning, go play golf,
go
and then
play
have,
golf.
beer, and then wake up the next day and go play golf and, go have out dinner and then wake up the next day and go have golf. But um, as more sociable individuals that we are and how we
Mm-hmm.
like to chit chat, to connect, um, what experience would you include in a trip that would have golf, but it would have an additional value to your wellness, to your group friends, to something that will relax you and say, boy, this was really a great trip. I would do this again.
Oh my goodness, all the things, the golf plus the yoga, plus the meditation, plus the spine, but also some, downtime to um, network and do some introspective work.
Mm-hmm.
A handful of years ago, it wasn't a golf retreat, but what was beautiful about it was that there was a component where we could sit down, we were all given journal books and prompts to sit down and write a little bit and just take some time to think about what the next season of our lives was going to look like and set some goals for
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. And it became an experience that um, enabled us to grow in a number of different ways and be able to come back home not only refreshed, but also purposeful. And I think getaways that have play, and I'm always up for a play. Like I have someone who is know someone who's doing a golf and wellness retreat to Jamaica in August, going to Cinnamon Hill, which is,
Perfect. Yes. Very
oh
nice.
my
Yes.
gosh, beautiful. But it also has a spa component. It also has a networking component. It also has, other areas where you can enjoy the island, but also really that time to connect with yourself and to connect with other people. And I think that those types of retreats are always refreshing because they touch on so many of the different areas that we often don't get to deal with when we're busy in our day to day
True.
lives.
True. Excellent.
Hmm.
Well, Dr. Thorpe, thank you so much. It was great having you with us. I am sure that our audience are going to really appreciate your tips and your suggestions. So thank you for sharing them with us. We follow you in our Instagram account, which is Stronger Tomorrow um,
Wellness.
Wellness. There you go.
Hmm.
Stronger Tomorrow Wellness. So I invite all of our audience to connect with you via Instagram and be able to express some of your questions, concern, and have you get back with them. Correct?
Sounds good to me. Sandra, I
Excellent.
appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for
Not a
having me on.
problem.
This has been a lot of fun. And let's keep
Great.
pushing the game of golf forward.
Absolutely. That's what we'll do. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
time. Thank you. And
Absolutely.
we hope to see you again soon.
My pleasure. Same here. Take care.
Thanks. Thanks. Bye bye.